So I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I shop exclusively at Ross Dress for Less. By that I mean I'm either wearing a shirt that a shop gave me or one of my own shop shirts, or exclusive Ross Dress for Less. Whatever the cheapest shit at Ross Dress for Less is, I can find. That's Ryan KRUESI's Fashion Sense. Now you guys know the secret behind looking this good all the time.
Holy fucking shit, Jesus!
Orale, muchachos, orale. Coffee's a little hot, so I put it in the freezer. And on today's episode of KRUESI Originals, it's going to be a how-to video. Mind-blowing, I know. We don't do how-to videos, but we're running out of shit to do right now. It's winter time, so everything, we're kind of waiting on a bunch of things. So I'm going to do a little how-to. I've got a primary leak transmission leaking bike that just came in from a customer, and real common shit, early model bikes, or any twin cam actually. The race right here, this is the inner primary bearing race that press fits onto this shaft. Now if you'll see, it's touching right here. There's no gap between the race and the fifth gear. There needs to be a gap. So what commonly happens, especially with chain drives, especially when you're cranking on them real hard with the chain drive, this race, it will pull, so this race will walk in, and then it will hit this seal in here, and then this seal goes to shit and it leaks really bad, and it will eventually ruin this too. So you can't get this off now because you can't get the tool that goes behind this to pull it off. So I'm going to show you guys today how to remedy this problem, and I'm also going to go over how to reseal a 5-speed transmission, which 6 speeds basically the same. There's a couple things that are different. I'll go over that as we come along, those parts and things and whatnot. Other than that, it's a how-to. It's a how-to video today. But before we do that, like, subscribe, ring that bell, tell a friend. Tell your sister I said hi. So the first thing you need to do is drain the transmission. You don't necessarily have to drain the transmission, but it's going to be a lot cleaner if you do, because as soon as you pop these seals out, you just got fluid pouring everywhere, and if you do it fast, you can do it without draining the tranny, but it sucks. And we're going to drain it, and then I'm going to come back around and we're going to pull this guy out first. Transmission drain is this guy right down here. It's a 5/8 bolt. Oh, that looks pretty clean. Sorry for the saw noise back there. Matt's cutting a whole bunch of Delrin up to make sliders for our KRUESI Originals slider derby covers. Replaceable Delrin pucks for those. So you're going to be listening to that shit the whole way through this, because he's going to be doing that all day long. Thank you all you guys for buying all of our shit. Oh, also, right now we have a giveaway going. If you go to our Patreon, for every $5 that you pledge to the Patreon, enters you in a chance to win some Legends 49mm cartridges. And a bunch of other stuff. Probably gonna be giving away some Pit Viper coats, some Pit Viper stuff, some more KRUESI stuff. And you can find all of our podcasts right now exclusively on Patreon. This is the first customer we've taken since November. Last November. 2021 November. I have been catching up on all the bikes that were here when Bill and Dave got in their wrecks, and we lost all of our techs in 1 week. I've been doing the whole catch-up game. Now I'm almost caught up, so starting next November we'll be taking customers again. So here's the things that you will need. Small side grinder. You gotta get into some real tight shit. In fact, I might put a smaller disc on this, a wore out one. Good ball peen hammer and a chisel. And some Pit Viper safety glasses. You can use code KRUESI, the number 15 on pitviper.com for 15% off all your Pit Viper needs. And these are all like full safety rated. I think all Pit Vipers are fully safety rated, but I know at least the safety glasses ones are. I use them for everything, wear them all the time. I'm gonna use a small disc that's gonna help me get in there closer. You don't want to damage the shaft at all. It's kind of really a delicate situation cutting this thing off, because we're gonna cut it off. If I haven't told you that already, I probably haven't, but we'll go little guy. This is gonna take even longer, but when dealing with something like this, longer is better. I think in most cases in life, longer is better. That's what she said. Oh, let's hack and slash some shit. Okay, it's kind of important. You don't want to cut into this at all, and you do not want to scar the shaft at all. So we're going to cut at an angle like this, and we're just going to lightly gouge this thing a little bit. and try and get a nice cut through it without cutting all the way through, and then we're gonna pop it with a chisel. So, here we go. I chopped my finger with an axe last night, splitting little pieces of wood to make beef jerky. All right, now that I got this, I'm gonna it's a bitch to get up in here. So I'm just gonna tap it. See how she kind of rolls around on me like that? Sometimes when you're lucky, you can do this, and the rolling it around will just kind of work it out. The heat from you doing the grinding and the whatnot will help you push it out there. Most of the time, no, but it's always worth the try. This is a fucking tough one. Oh man. Okay, pit vipers are great, but there's also the fact that I can't see for fucking shit and I need glasses, so let me grab those. How do I look? Angela Lansbury or what? We're also going to convert this to a sealed bearing. We're not going to run this shit at all, because it sucks. We don't run these here at this shop. See the gap I'm getting? She's moving. Oh man, if I can move it enough. See if I can get my tool back there. So I have the Jim's tool. This is what goes behind there. See that notch? That's the gap that should be back there. So once you relieve the gap, it releases a little bit of pressure and you can tap this thing out, and then you can get this guy behind it. So I'm gonna get the rest of my tools and pull it off for this one. Jim's primary bearing race puller. It's also got the installer also, which we won't be installing one because we're gonna throw this shit in the trash and put a sealed bearing in it. Okay, so that thing's off. You can see the relief. I never even cut through this all the way, but it's enough to heat it up and kind of give it a little pressure. Most of the time you're gonna have to cut through it and sometimes break it off in pieces. It's a pain in the ass. There is other ways of doing it. There is the old Harley Davidson hack flat rate style, where you drive this guy in and then it creates a gap and you can pull this out. But when you drive this in, you're then side loading the bearing that this sits in. And anytime you side load a bearing, so a bearing has an inner race and an outer race, and the bearings sit in the middle. If you're pushing this guy in and out, now you've got a loose bearing. So I'm not a fan of that. This takes longer, this is harder, but this is safer on all your shit inside your transmission. Like I said, that's up to you. This is the way I do it. I think if it takes longer to do and saves you a tranny in the long run, then it's probably a better way. Right now we're going to reseal this thing out. We got this off. We need to change. This is the main shaft seal right here. We're going to change this guy out. It's a bitch. I'll show you how. And then we're going to pull this little guy out. This is your spacer. It's got a tapered side and a flat side. Tapered side goes in. We'll get back to that when I reinstall. This is your 5th gear seal. This is the big guy. This is what was leaking bad on this one. This guy is main seal, and his 5th gear was pissing. We're also going to change the shift shaft seal because we're in here. If you're in here, change everything. Don't open all this up and do all this work and leave an old seal anywhere inside of it at any time at all. We're going to reseal the whole primary, the whole transmission. Everything gets touched. If I do an inner primary, because it's leaking, I'm going to reseal the transmission as well, whether it needs it or not. You might as well have fresh shit in there and be done with it, because it's kind of just wasting your time at that point when, you know, preventative maintenance is a thing. All right. I'm gonna try a couple different things here, whatever I can get to figure out. That doesn't work. Whoa, see how easy that was? That thing popped out easier than a chick's ass on a motorcycle. Now that that's out, you've got a quad seal in here. The quad seal goes between this spacer. Remember I talked about that tapered side? Where'd my rag go? So you've got this tapered side right here. You can see the line. See that brown line? That's where the quad seal's been sitting. The quad seal is this little guy right here. These are only on 5 speeds too. 6 speeds don't have these. So don't trip out. This guy's very important. It's called a quad seal because it's got 4 seals on it basically. It's like a little square with a groove in the inside. All right, now that all this shit is out of here, I'm gonna clean this very, very well. Last bike we did, this was full of silicone. You know why? Because somebody was a fucking hack that put that one together. There should be absolutely no silicone inside anything that has a seal in it at any time. So I'm gonna clean this stuff. I'm gonna Scotch-Brite this shit out of here. I'm gonna Scotch-Brite this. This has a groove worn in it. I might be getting a new one. See all the buildup and all the little shit in there. So you see what I mean? Inner bearing race, outer bearing race, ball bearings. So if I push this in and do it that way, I'm pushing this inner race in, which this is gonna slip through that, but it's still side loading that. It's a big, strong bearing. It can probably handle it. It's just not good practice to side load a bearing in any way, shape, or form. And I'm really just going over that to fucking halt the goddamn comments on telling me how you do it differently. That's cool. I would like to hear about how you guys do it differently, but I'm shooting that one down right now. If you've got some other tricks, let me know about it. That's nice and cleaned up. I'm going to move on to, we're gonna dig this guy out of here. By I mean, dig this guy out of here. That's literally what we're doing. I'm gonna get a pick, a hammer, and a lot of profanity, and it's really the key. And you gotta change it. You can't just go, man, I can't get this out. You have to get it out. You have to change it because that's usually your main leaker right there. Okay, now this is also important. See this part right here? I can squish it. This part is rubber, this darker black part. And you can see the copper part right here. That's the hard steel part that presses against this part. The rubber part seals the main shaft. Now you don't want to scar the inside of this or scar this at all with your tool because then neither side is going to seal. So this is also going to be a rolling around bitch. It's going to put me into a fist of rage probably. I like to start at the top, get it in that gap, and then kind of drive down a little bit away from it. And it's just a light, slow motion. See how it moves? I'm going to go a little deeper. I want to push it away from the top part. So I'm going to move a little bit more and I'm going to do it again. Create a little space. Alright, now I'm going to try and just pry it out. Now I've got it out and I'm going to keep pushing it down away from that top ever so lightly. You don't want to push it down a whole bunch because then you're just going to push it into the main shaft and it ain't coming out at all then. So a little bit of stress relief is all this is. And then I'm going back underneath again. Ow! Flip around to a new spot. She's coming. Yep. See that? It doesn't take a lot of force. It's kind of gingerly done. There she is. Now we're going to clean out any bullshit I have left behind. The edge of this is kind of beat up right here. You can see where that seal was pushed up against it. I have to seal the bearing race. You kind of want to feel, make sure there's no ridges. I might hit that with a little file a little bit just to clean it up, get all the little rubber seal pieces out of there, and then I'm going to clean this out really good with brake clean. I'm going to Scotch-Brite this thing up. Go back and forth, in and out, makes a crosshatch pattern like how you do with piston cylinders when you hone them. Crosshatch is always going to seal better. That race kind of beat this up a little bit. I'm going to get some little small files and just try and take those little edges off around there. These are the little things you got to pay attention to when doing this. You don't just pull a seal out and then jam the fucking seal back in there, because what caused it to leak in the first place? This guy did. This guy was smashed up against it and just kind of wearing the shit out of it over and over again. So this is so small, you probably wouldn't even notice it. Most people probably aren't going to notice it and you're going to miss it, but these are things that you should check. You know, put your fucking seeing glasses on, a flashlight, get in here and feel around this edge. Make sure it feels good, and this one doesn't feel good, so I'm going to clean it up a bit. If you rub a piece of steel across steel, you should be able to feel any nicks and grooves really easily. This is a very fine metal file, so if you wanted to take off any real material, it would take you a long period of time. Alright, feels good. If anybody's watched our YouTube before, which if you haven't, you should start, because it's funny. I don't like C-clips. I don't like people that invented them. I feel like I should be able to... I feel like there's a few things in this world that when you create something and it works, it does its job, but it's a fucking son of a bitch to work with, like C-clips. I fucking hate C-clips. You should have yourself, or at least a representative, and I should be able to fist fight. You should have to stand by those types of things, you know? Like, me and my old lady planned this 8-mile hike the other day. Had it all planned out, bought new gear, took the day off, went on a weekday because it's the only day you can go to any of those places in Arizona because it's chock full of fucking assholes all the time. We get all the way up there, 2.5-hour drive, and there's a sign that says, trail closed, which it wasn't closed on the internet, due to backbone fire. Now, I fucking hate C-clips, motherfucker, but it was due to the backbone fire. That trail was closed. The backbone fire was 1.5 years ago that fire was put out. Because of a bullshit fire almost 2 years ago, they're fucking government assholes. When I roll up to this sign and the road's closed, and when I put through all that money and all that time and all that, you know, excitement about going, and I get there and I can't go, there should be someone standing at that gate. You roll up. Guy goes, "What's up, man? Name's Ted. I work for the Forest Department. Real sorry for the inconvenience. It's still closed due to a fire that we had over 1.5 years ago. I know it's absolute bullshit and it's a government scam. And if you'd like to fist fight me about it, here I am. I'm here to stand up for the bullshit that we just put you through, and I get to fist fight Ted. Me and Ted bang it out. If I win, yeah, maybe I get to go hike the trail. If I don't win, so be it. At least they fucking stood by the goddamn sign that I threw. I fucking pissed all over this son of a bitch and threw it off into the brush. You can eat shit, but can't fucking believe that. I think that's fair. What do you guys think? There should be representatives, you know, like the guy who came up with the oil lines that go over the top of the rocker boxes in the M8 Softail. He should have to show up to every shop in America and go, "Hey man, I know this sucks and I fucked you guys real hard, but I'll put a mouthpiece in. Here I am, you know, let's go." And then you could either go, "You know, it's cool, I understand, I'm a pretty pleasant person, I get along with everyone and I'm patient and I'll work through this. Fuck you, C-clip, you fucking cunt." Hate those motherfuckers. But homeboy should show up and put his fucking dukes up, like the C-clip plier inventor. The guy that thought that was a good idea to put a C-clip on that piece of shit right there, just to hold it together. I should get to fight that dude. I'm not saying I'm some fucking tough guy or anything, but I feel disrespected by that C-clip. And, you know, if you get disrespected, I can't fight the fucking C-clip. So where you at? Those are just deep thoughts from Ryan KRUESI. Next time on Deep Thoughts from Ryan KRUESI. Oh, this is a leaking bitch. Look at that. It's a puddle of oil right here. You see it under there? It's on my tip. She's a leaker. So this is your seal. It's all metal, and then there's a rubber little gasket that goes against the inside of this shaft. And the C-clip is the only thing that holds her together. So I'm gonna punch a hole in the side of this metal thing with my pick. Lightly. Once I got in there, I'm gonna go upwards. Once again, you don't want to scab the inside diameter of this or this guy. And that's that. Matt! There. I need quad seal, main shaft seal, and a 5th gear seal. and a shift shaft seal. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
You got the ones that pulled out of there?
Nope.
Why not?
They're labeled on the board. Find them. Comment down below if you think he comes back with the right shit. Ain't coming back with the right shit. Well, she's all tore apart, and next we're gonna put it together. I'm gonna drink some water, give her 30 to 80 minutes while Matt gathers up those fucking seals in there. Just staring at the wall, real confused right now. I can see the sweat beading off the back of his head. That's a transmission gasket for an 87 Cutlass. Moxon, man, Moxons. You know, I used to think I didn't need Moxons. I also didn't like chicks. What?
I got 3 of them.
Do you? Oh, you got one. You got one!
Yeah!
So far. What happened to my coffee? What? What?
You want to help me? I don't really... Here. I don't really understand what... Whoa! Yeah!
I already have that one. You brought it to me already. Just wait. What's the quad seal look like?
I don't know.
MMI, man. Money well spent. You know what you learned there? Not a fucking thing. Read the descriptions. Quad seal. Now, back from my adventures in mat sitting. Dielectric grease. A little bit of this. Rubber all over the old quad seal here. Slide her on here. Make sure it doesn't get twisted in any way at all, because it is very small. Needs to be nice and square. I'm gonna Scotch-Brite this thing, get all this other old buildup and shit off of here. Alright, now I'm gonna take this and put a little dielectric grease on the outside of it, because that's where that main seal is gonna rub there. These seals all technically probably have different names than what I'm calling them, but that's what I've always known them as, and I don't give a shit, honestly. I'm gonna rub a little dielectric grease in the chamfer of this guy. So just so you don't start with a dry seal. You don't want to start with a dry seal because then you end up blowing a seal. They got big dicks. Alright, I'll take this guy back out of here. Put this guy in first. There's a specialty tool for this, but I mean, you don't really need it. So the farther she goes, your fucking bike's filthy. You don't give a fuck about your bike don't give a fuck about you. Remember that. If you bring it into me dirty, I'm charging extra. Next is this little guy. I need to get a couple specialty things. These things tend to be real sharp, and you do not want to slide a seal over it. There is a tool that Jim's makes that slides over the top of this, like a little dong, and then you can slide seals over the top of it. I lost that shit about 14 years ago and don't care to buy another one, so electrical tape it is. Here I'm gonna dielectric grease that tape a little bit just to make it nice and smooth. Get her on the shaft. So this guy, this is your sealing surface. I'm gonna lube that guy up too. This is the pressing side. Hope this is the right one. Kind of looks like a late model. Nope, she's good. I'm gonna grab my tool. So I had to put this guy in here to hold the 5th gear in place because it likes to move easily. And then I'm just gonna press this guy in. This is nice and easy. Dialed. I'm gonna pop that off and re-torque and crank that bitch down later. But I'm gonna take it off now so I don't forget. Okay, back to the shift shaft. Alright, I'm gonna pull this guy out and I'm gonna electrical tape these splines as well. Nothing likes a stick because it's fucking greasy. I really gotta quit saying I hate working on motorcycles on camera. Gonna squeeze this trifling little whore over the top there. I need to get a proper size socket. There's specialty tools out there for this and different ways of doing it, but I've never been the guy to buy the specialty tool when a socket does the same thing and I can save 80 bucks. I know there's big tool nerds out there that gotta have all the new fancy shit out, but I mean, well, you got all that new fancy shit? I got 4 Harley Davidsons. Now, you put this filthy thing back on. The top of this should line up with the corner of this, the front corner. That's your standard positioning for this guy. Well, about there anyways. It's fine thread, it's about 22 foot-pounds right here. Torque this guy too. This one's been abused with someone's ball Allen, it looks like, so I'm going to do it by hand so I can feel it, not blow it out. I mean, that's that. That's a resealed transmission. We don't need a bearing race anymore because we're going to run a sealed bearing. I'm going to leave this tape on here so when we put the outer primary on, it protects that seal. Next, we can put a sealed bearing conversion into primary. All right, now we're going to do a sealed bearing conversion. I'm going to pull the stock stuff out so you can see that, and then we're going to run a drag specialist sealed bearing conversion. These are on our website, KRUESIoriginals.com. It's a high torque bearing. It gets rid of that race and all that other bullshit that moves around and sucks. And it's pretty easy to do. Little pry bar, pry out the old seal. Easier to get to the C-clip on this side, so I'm going to pull this one. Maybe get in there, you muff. God, I hate C-clips. Snap-on C-clip pliers are not worth a shit either. Okay, C-clip is out. Now we gotta go to the freezer. I'm gonna freeze this bearing, which I should have done that when I started the job because right now it's kind of pointless, but just for entertainment's sake, I'm gonna throw this guy in the freezer. Cold metal is small metal, hot metal, big metal. Aluminum, steel, anything, it all expands when it gets hotter. So we stick the bearing in the freezer to make it as cold as possible so it shrinks as much as possible. And then I will heat this guy up, the aluminum, so it will expand and release this guy and make it easier to press the next one in. All right, I'm gonna heat up the aluminum around the outside of this guy. I left this C-clip in there, so that's just my gauge of where the new one's going to go. The new one doesn't take a C-clip. The high torque one doesn't take a C-clip on this side. It sits flush, and then the clutch hub will go right against that. I'm just going to use this to brace the bottom. It fits in there nice and neat. I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize just around the side of it so the bearing doesn't take any material when I press it in. Alright, this is a tool I made in the lathe. It's super easy, but I'm sure Jim's, somebody makes something just like this. You could do this on a press. Most people do this in a press, but I like to feel it myself. Dialed. That's how she sits. Now we'll go back over to this place. Seal. I need some lube. And that's that. What else do I gotta do? I'm gonna change the starter seal. I got a little tool for that too. Man, I got all kinds of fancy shit I'm gonna grab. So starter seal's next. Come see this guy. It's got a little bit of brass sticking out right there. I'm just gonna hook that with my screwdriver, give her a whack. And that's that. Now I'm gonna go on the wall and find something that looks like that. Hopefully I got one. She goes down this hole. You can see that there's, see that spring? It's like a string of spring that goes around. The spring always goes towards the fluid. That's going to be your sealing side of things. No spring, outside. Spring, fluid. This is where the fluid is. So I'm going to lube this thing first. I keep forgetting my lube. Just going to load up the inside of this guy with some dielectric grease. Stick them on my little friend. I made this in the lathe. You can use a socket or get crafty with whatever you got, I guess. I know Jim's makes a tool like this too, but I made this in 5 seconds. Done. Signed, sealed, delivered. Oh yeah. We'll throw this bitch on just about. I mean, that's it. That's conversion. I think I'm gonna make Matt do the rest of this shit, and I'm gonna do something fun. You just put it on, torque it, be done with it. Sealed bearing conversion, high torque stuff does not slide in or out, so you can clutch dump this thing all you want to and not worry about that, because clutch dumps, especially with chain drive and wheelies, any hard clutching, any hard riding, that race will walk into your tranny like that, and you will be doing this project. It's very common. 90% of the time when your inner primary is leaking, it's that's normally what it is on a 5-speed. And a 6-speed too, you cannot do this on a 6-speed. There is other options. S&S has a tapered shaft race that's pretty good that can't walk in. We run that one a lot. It's nice. Other than that, I think that's it. Like I said, this is why you leave the electrical tape on. You can slide that bad boy on there. And I'm going to leave it just like that for now. Probably put some shoes on and go ride my monkey. I'm Ryan KRUESI. This is KRUESI Originals. That's how to do some shit. If it helped, I hope it did. Hope you guys have a great day. Like, subscribe, KRUESIoriginals.com. Stay posted. We got a lot more going on. Peace.